Welcome back. This is one of my problems that needs fixing. This is one of the fingers from my steady wrist, and as you can see, it's a very simple design. It's just a barrel with a brass tip on it that is held in place or adjusted by a little recess and a grub screw that pushes into this position here. Now you can tighten this grub screw until your eyes bleed. You won't get it to stop vibrating, and as it vibrates it adjusts, and it usually adjusts away from the workpiece, and then you lose contact. Now when I was doing my hex collet bolt, this was very prevalent, especially on heavy cuts when the machine starts to generate a little bit of chatter. Then the spin vibrates away from the workpiece, and then the chatter gets worse, and then it vibrates even faster. Another problem with this design that I've got is this brass tip here. It wears away quite easily, and that compounds to the problem as well. Now my idea is to redesign this and have one of these guys on the tip. That will solve quite a bit of problems, especially on the wear side of it. So my only idea is, I don't have a left-hand thread tap or anything of the sort, so mine is going to work in reverse. But what I'm going to do is make the same assembly with a nulled screw at the back, but in the nulled screw, the screw will be fixed to the finger instead of to the knob itself. And then the idea behind that is that the screw will be adjusted in and out, and I will have a secondary locking nut at the back. So as I adjust it, I can then lock it in position, and that will stop it from undoing itself while I'm busy turning. Okay, I've got one face cleaned up, and I'm using that face as a reference, and I'm using a Allen key as a stop at the back, so I can get all the pins the same length. Okay, I'm gonna cut the slots 7 millimeters wide and 12 millimeters deep on end. Okay, the dimension is supposed to be 19.3 wide and 19 millimeters deep, and not 7 and 12 as I've stated before. I had my offset for the center hole wrong, and didn't take in consideration the two spacing washers in order to free up the roller. So yeah, first one is done. Now I must do the other two off camera. Okay, this is as close as I can get it. It's pretty close to square to the machine. Now what you should take in consideration when you use these inclinometers is not to be in a hurry when you use it, because it takes a while for it to settle. I've seen guys that stick it on there and they immediately want to make adjustments. You make a small adjustment and you leave it a few seconds, let it settle, because these things are very sensitive and it takes a while for it to settle. If you're patient enough, you can get it spot on. Okay, I still have my X as reference, because when I made these compound jaws, I made sure that my vertical and horizontal V grooves are exactly the same depth. So when I was indicating on top, my X will stay the same, irrespective of whether it's standing up or laying on its side. Once it's locked in a V groove, it will be in exactly the same reference. So what I'm going to do now is to cut a slot in here to prevent the pin from rotating in the steady rest. And then I'm going to drill and tap a hole here for a bearing. I think 2 millimeters deep enough. Okay, using my homemade edge finder to find the edge here. Zero Madeiro. Now what I need to do is to move the table up by 8 millimeters. That will be the offset for my bearing. So that will give me at least 1 to 2 millimeters clearance on the top surface here, or the bottom of the slot. that flat spot will serve two purposes. It will aid my drilling, and it will also give a flat surface for the cap screw to seat in. Okay, that's drill for tap size. And now I'm overspeeding it a bit, but to change the belts every time it change the operation is going to take me too much time. So if the drill goes blunt, I'll just sharpen it up again. Okay, I'm going to do a clearance. The top will be drill to clearance with an 8mm end mill. I'm going to use the end mill because it won't leave a burr behind. And I don't want to put a chamfer on here because of this material being so thin. Right, and this part is done. Apart from tapping, that is. Because of the clearance hole, I don't need to use a tap follower. Right, now it's complete. Okay, You saw me working towards my 0 on the y-axis, and I've removed 7mm from the OD. Okay, so this piece will be the nut, or the main nut. I've turned it down to 18mm on the tip here. That will fit into the barrel of the steady rest. And this piece here I'm going to nail now, so that will act like a thumb screw. Okay, the design is pretty simple. You've got a threaded towel in the back, M6. a key way to stop it from rotating, and then a ball bearing seated in a tip between two washers to stop the bearing from rubbing against the sides. And now what's going to happen inside the steady rest is this bolt is going to be Loctited in place. Get the focus here. Once it's in place and Loctited and can't move, then you can adjust the nut. The nut will also be captive inside this barrel, and that's going to move the finger backwards and forwards as you tighten and loosen it. Now I've checked it. Once it's inside the barrel, you turn the set screws, these things don't move at all. So the issue that I had with the brass fingers that was vibrating loose is on the end now. So yeah, let me install it, and then you can see how it operates. You can see it's very straightforward. Once it's in there, you can put some force on it. It's not going anywhere, and this nut is also solid. So yeah, I think I'm not going to eat any brass anymore for a long time now, because the old fingers were throwing brass at me like crazy, and these things are at least solid, so it will help me quite a bit. Now I haven't Loctited these bolts in here, so I must first get the correct grade and the correct length. It's not a good practice to use galvanized bolts for a high cycle thread, because the galvanizing chips off, and then it gets stuck in your nuts, and then after a while it seizes up. So it's better to use a black oxide thread. Alright, I hope this was helpful, and until next time.